Our film begins with the legendary explorer Jaeger Clade. We learn that the people of Avalonia see him as a heroic figure because he's always ventured into dangerous places, climbing mountains and exploring lands no one else could reach. Years later, Jaeger has a son named Searcher, and he hopes his boy will grow up to be an explorer just like him. We see them embarking on many adventures together. One day, during an expedition with his team and young Searcher, something unusual happens. Searcher tries to inspect a strange plant, but it shocks him, causing the ground to collapse. He falls, but Jaeger saves him just in time. Shortly after, Searcher discovers glowing plants called pando and tells his father that he wants to stay and study them. But Jaeger gets upset, insisting that they're explorers, not farmers, and that their goal is to continue the journey to find out what's beyond the Great Mountain. However, Searcher is determined to stay. The disagreement escalates until a team member named Callisto intervenes. She tells Jaeger that even if he wants his son to be an explorer, he doesn't have to be one exactly like him. He could be an explorer in the world of science and plants. But Jaeger refuses to listen, leaves the group, and sets off alone to cross the mountain. 25 years pass. Now we see that Searcher has grown up and lives peacefully with his wife Meridian and their son Ethan on a farm where they grow pando, a plant full of energy that powers the entire city. This remarkable energy source was discovered by Searcher himself. Ethan helps his father with the harvest, and they distribute the crops throughout the city, which depends entirely on pando for its energy. Later, Ethan notices a statue of his grandfather Jaeger and asks his father why he never talks about him, especially since everyone says Jaeger was a legendary adventurer. Searcher replies that although his father was indeed strong, he was also harsh and controlling. He never allowed anyone to disagree with him and wanted Searcher to become a copy of him, even though he only wanted to be a farmer. Searcher then tells Ethan he's proud of him for choosing the same peaceful life. That evening, as they return home, they hear a loud noise outside. They rush out to find Callisto, who is now the head of the city's rescue team. She tells Searcher that Avalonia is in serious danger. She shows him samples of pando that have withered and died across large parts of the city. She explains that if they don't act fast, all their crops, and therefore their energy, will be lost. At first, Searcher refuses to help, saying he's just a farmer now. But Callisto reminds him that he's the one who discovered the plant and that maybe it's his destiny to save it. He finally agrees to join the mission, but tells Meridian and Ethan to stay home, as the journey ahead is too dangerous. He boards Callisto's aircraft and joins the rescue team. She tells him this won't be an easy mission. They're heading into completely unknown territory. Their objective is to reach the heart of the plant and find out what's killing it so they can save the rest of the crops. As they fly deeper into the unknown, another aircraft approaches. To Searcher's surprise, it's Meridian, his wife. She tells him that Ethan secretly snuck aboard without anyone noticing, bringing their dog along too. While they're talking, strange creatures suddenly attack the aircraft and the crew. Callisto quickly grabs her weapon and fights them off. A battle breaks out. The creatures damage parts of the aircraft, putting everyone in danger. Just then, Meridian leaps into the cockpit to stabilize the plane and manages to save them all. But during the chaos, Searcher and the dog fall from the aircraft and land in a strange, colorful world filled with bizarre creatures. Searcher begins calling out for his wife and son, but before he finds them, he's attacked by more strange monsters. Suddenly, a mysterious figure appears and saves him using a powerful flamethrower. Searcher thanks the stranger and asks who he is. The man replies, "I'm Jaeger Clade, the great explorer." Searcher is stunned. "Dad? You're still alive?" Jaeger looks at him in disbelief and says, "Dad? Who are you?" "You can't be my son, Searcher." Searcher explains that it's been 25 years. Of course, he wouldn't recognize him easily. But Jaeger still doesn't believe him. So Searcher pulls out a compass, the one his father always carried on his expeditions, and shows it to him. But still, Jaeger didn't believe him. So Searcher handed him the compass that his father used to carry everywhere. A compass he had given him the last time they were together. Jaeger finally believes him after seeing the compass, and he's overjoyed. Searcher then tells him that his wife and son are on the plane and they need to save them. Jaeger gets excited and says, I can't believe I'm a grandfather. Then he tells Searcher, we need to move now. On the other side, we see Callisto telling the flight crew that they need to repair the aircraft first to figure out how they'll move. But Ethan is frustrated. He tells her, we need to save Dad before doing anything else. Eventually, the crew agrees with Callisto, saying that if they fix the plane, they'll be able to rescue him. Ethan doesn't like this, so he leaves them, takes a small plane, and flies off to save his father himself. He flies until he lands on the back of a giant strange creature, which throws him into a pit. There, Ethan finds a cave and walks through it until he meets a soft, rubbery blue creature. He gets to know it and realizes it's not dangerous. He names it Splat. Together, they leave the cave and find themselves in a place that looks like a garden. Meanwhile, Searcher is walking with Jaeger and asks him how he disappeared for all those years. Jaeger explains that when he left and went behind the mountain, he fell into a strange hole. He tried to adapt and escape, and although he managed many things, he couldn't cross the burning river. But this time, he's confident because Searcher and Callisto have aircrafts. As they walk, they find a deck of playing cards on the ground. They quickly grab it and keep going. At the same time, Ethan and Splat are moving through the forest when Ethan spots crates of pando plants. He picks up a pod and tosses it to Splat, but suddenly, they're both surprised by attacking creatures. Just then, Jaeger arrives at the right moment and uses his flamethrower to fight the creatures. Ethan realizes that his grandfather has come to rescue him. The three of them, along with their dog, start running while the creatures attack from every direction. Jaeger keeps firing until his flamethrower runs out. At that moment, Meridian arrives with her plane, picks them up, and escapes. The creatures continue to chase them until they finally get away. When they return to the large aircraft, the crew is shocked to see Jaeger in person. They had only known him from a statue and had no idea he was still alive. Jaeger talks to Ethan and tells him how happy he is to have a grandson who will carry on the Clade family legacy as an explorer. Ethan is excited and says he wants to be a great explorer like his grandfather. Jaeger starts teaching him how to use the flamethrower, but then Searcher arrives, upset. He tells his father not to influence Ethan into becoming an explorer, saying Ethan is a farmer. Ethan senses the tension between the two, so he suggests they all play cards, but neither of them knows how to play his game. He feels disappointed and walks off. Later, they return to the cockpit and realize they've reached the burning river. Meridian warns that flying too close is impossible because the river is made of acidic chemicals that could destroy them. Then Splat stands at the edge of the aircraft and calls a group of his creature friends. They all gather beneath the aircraft and lift it, allowing it to pass safely over the river. But just as they cross, the giant creatures with many legs attack again. Jaeger uses his flamethrower, and Callisto throws her knives to fight them off. Searcher tells them that the creatures are harmed by pando. He starts collecting pando pods and hurling them at the creatures. The plan works, and they all have a moment to relax. Later, Jaeger stands with his son Searcher and apologizes for trying to force him into being an explorer without caring what he truly wanted. Ethan watches them, clearly happy that their relationship is healing. Eventually, they reach the heart of the pando, only to find a swarm of monsters attacking it. The heart tries to protect itself, and Searcher realizes they need to act fast. He breaks several pando pods and creates a dust cloud that he sprays all over the attacking creatures to wipe out as many as possible. He tells the rest of the crew to do the same and calls on Ethan to grab a sprayer and help. He tells him, "We are farmers. This is how we protect our land." But Ethan refuses. "I don't want to be a farmer like you," he says. "I want to be an explorer like Grandpa." Searcher is stunned and accuses Jaeger of filling Ethan's head with ideas. Ethan responds with the same words his father once said to Jaeger. "You want me to be a copy of you without caring what I want to be." Ethan leaves, takes a small aircraft, and flies away. Searcher quickly follows him in another plane. The two of them fly until they exit a cave and find themselves by the ocean. Ella and the others found themselves by the sea, and they saw a mountain on the opposite side. Jaeger turned to his son and said, "I'm sorry. I don't want to force you into anything. Choose the future you want and shape it for yourself." At that moment, they saw a giant eye opening in front of them. Jaeger said, "This is the eye of a massive creature, and our entire journey, since the very beginning, has actually been inside this creature." Ethan then realized that the burning river, which was full of acid, wasn't a river at all. It was actually the creature's stomach. And the beings that had been attacking them, which they had called strange monsters, were in fact the creature's immune system, defending itself from foreign intruders. They told Meridian that they had to destroy Pando in order to save the giant creature. After explaining everything that had happened, Jaeger became interested when he heard they had found the mountain. He said he would take a plane and continue the journey to explore it. However, Callisto told Seeger she wouldn't allow him to destroy Pando, even if it meant the creature would die, because Pando was the city's only source of energy. She ordered her team to capture Seeger, his son, and his wife, and to lock them in a room until the mission was completed. While locked up, they realized their dog wasn't with them. They heard it barking from outside and started calling to it, hoping it would open the door. Splat slipped through a small opening and helped the dog unlock the door. They all got out and rushed to retake control of the ship. Seeger told Meridian she would fly the aircraft, while he and Ethan would head to the heart of Pando to create an opening, allowing the creature's immune system to enter and destroy it from within. At that same time, Callisto and her team were spraying Pando on the creatures to destroy them. When she learned Seeger had escaped, she quickly returned to the command room to regain control of the ship. Meridian volunteered to fly the plane, and Callisto reluctantly allowed it. As the aircraft began to fall, Callisto shouted at her to fly faster. Meridian pushed forward, and they finally reached Pando's heart. There, they saw Seeger holding an axe, trying to create an opening, but he couldn't do it. The axe broke. Suddenly, Jaeger appeared and said to Seeger, "I was wrong to leave you back then, and I won't make that mistake again. We'll create this opening together, father and son." And so they worked together and successfully made the opening. The creatures flowed into Pando's heart and destroyed it. However, they soon discovered that the creature's heart had stopped beating. They were saddened, thinking the mission had failed and the creature had died. But then, small organisms began moving toward the heart until it started beating again. Everyone celebrated the achievement, realizing they had managed to save the creature after all. They returned to the aircraft, and Jaeger said he would never let his family drift away from him again. He would return to live with them. A year passed, and it was revealed that the city had improved. They had discovered new energy sources, resumed farming, and rebuilt the city. They came together once more to embrace the true meaning of family.